Welcome to the show, everybody. Joseph Robert, the fantasy football counselor. Got an exciting video and one of my personal favorite shows. We are talking top 10 fantasy football rankings for 2020. Yes, the running backs, my favorite position, the robust RB strategy. We're talking everything running backs right here, right now. Now, this list is not going to be your consensus list. This is going to be the list as kind of how I would draft these running backs in order based on ADP, as if the draft was actually happening. This is the way lists should be presented, not the consensus type lists. Let me remind you last year, okay, that James Conner, Melvin Gordon, and guys, people fall out, Le'Veon Bell, guys fall out of the top 10 that were listed in the top 10. Even David Johnson, a guy that I liked last year, fell out of the top 10. He was top, I think, 5 amongst running backs last year, okay? That was a coaching thing, but that's besides the fact. It was definitely not a talent thing. All right, so this is a top 10 list based on the non-consensus and the way it should be done. The running backs that I like for fantasy football 2020. Let's get to the show.
So you want to go hard? So you want to be the greatest? Your life is a fantasy, and it's all for the taking. Cause this time is now, and I gotta get it. I'm a beast, I'm a freak when it comes to winning. Eyes on the prize, like a television.
Hey, it's Josh Jacobs, and you're listening to the Fantasy Football Counselor.
All right, guys, welcome to the show. Top 10 running backs 2020. I've honed in on this list. I'm excited about this list. Fantasy Football 2020 is around the corner. We are now in June, everybody. Time to get ramped up. My energy level is rising. We're in June, guys. A totally different month. It's going to be a totally different new energy coming in from me. I'm the leader of the industry. I'm going to show it to you guys with my passion, my power, and of course, accurate fantasy football analysis. No more cookie cutter BS, copy and paste BS, okay? And that's the one thing that annoys me before I get into this list. I got to talk about this. They're very, very annoying, okay? Last year, these guys finished on top. Let's draft them again in that order. That's what everybody tells you. That's BS, guys. It doesn't work like that. Christian McCaffrey finished number 1 last year. Everyone's putting him, we got to draft Christian McCaffrey number 1. That is total BS, okay? That is people lying to you. Yes, he could finish first overall again, but it's very, very rare. Last time anyone finished 2 years in a row on top, first overall, was a guy named Priest Holmes back in 2002, 2003. So it's a very rare, very, very rare occurrence. Now, a lot of people will say, well, Joe, even if it doesn't finish first overall, I still want to, he's still going to finish top 3. Very possible as well. But understand, Christian McCaffrey is part of a new team. I'm going to talk about it. New team, new offense, new coach, new quarterback, different offense, right? And he caught a pinnacle amount of balls. We'll get to Christian McCaffrey in a second. The point I'm trying to make is when you draft the first overall pick, you got to aim for the highest ceiling. Try to get the guy that's the highest guy, the guy that's got more of a ceiling. Christian McCaffrey's going to be on his way down. Get a guy that's rising. So you got to compensate and say, okay, this guy's going to move down. This guy's going to move up. Like Nick Chubb's out of my top 10. So don't be surprised when I go through this list when you're like, where's Nick Chubb? Where's Dalvin Cook? There's reasons why they're not here, okay? Nick Chubb is sharing a backfield with a guy that outscored him 6 out of the 8 weeks last year, Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt is there. Kareem Hunt could be a starter. Kareem Hunt is better talent than Nick Chubb. Maybe not as good of a pure runner, but more of a pass-catching running back, more versatile. And if you guys remember, some people forget because they're so caught up in recency bias. Last year, a couple years ago, he was the rushing leader, Kareem Hunt, back in 2017 on the Chiefs. Okay, so you got to understand, guys, things change. They're volatile. You got to compensate. That's what we're doing here. Before you guys jump in the comments and say, where's Dalvin Cook? Where's Nick Chubb? Dalvin Cook has never been to a fantasy football championship. He has not finished a year. He fell apart near the end of the year last year. There's a reason why the Vikings got Madison. So, guys, I want guys that are consistent, guys that'll produce, guys that have really good ADPs, guys that, I know are going to be the workhorse running backs, okay? And I just saw a guy do a mock draft yesterday, and I'm giving you guys the backstory. Stick with me because this is actual practical fantasy football draft strategy and fantasy football knowledge. I saw a so-called expert do a draft. I think his main running backs, this is pretty sad, were like Phillip Lindsay, Devin Singletary, and like his backup was Latavius Murray. Dude, those are like RB1, RB2 kind of guys. They're going to be in committees, right? You got to secure that robust RB, early on. I'm literally going 4 running backs in the first 4 rounds. That's how obsessed I am with going robust because it's the most scarce position and you got to secure this running back position. It's imperative, it's crucial, and it's very important that you secure those running backs, okay? Before I get into the show as well, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up. Leave a comment with your questions. I'm going to get to as many questions as I can. Please, guys, it's very, very important to me. You smash the thumbs up here on YouTube. And, of course, leave the questions. And, of course, guys, there's an audio version of this podcast. So if you're watching on YouTube, you want to go on the run, go on a run. You should be staying in shape, taking care of your health. Now, if you guys are following me on social, I've been doing a lot of bike riding. I've been loving it, hitting the trails, hitting the country roads. I just did I think a 20-mile bike ride yesterday. I'm ramping up. I'm not the best bike rider. I got a couple grandpas passing me, a couple grandmas on some road bikes. I've got like a hybrid bike. It's kind of it's a hybrid. It's a mountain bike, and it's kind of a road bike. It's very versatile, right? But I'm not as fast as some of these other guys. So make sure you guys are staying in shape. And if you are on the go, the point I'm trying to make here, make sure you guys get me on audio. There's a link here below. Whatever your platform is, it's there. All right, top 10 running backs, non-consensus. Let's roll to it. Number 1. Now, again, a lot of people are going to say Christian McCaffrey. I'm not. The guy I'm talking number 1 is SAQUON Barkley. Why? SAQUON Barkley has an improved O-line, okay? They've improved the O-line. I believe they got 3 new O-line men. It's definitely going to help him, okay? It's definitely going to help him a little bit. It's going to open things up there. Daniel Jones now getting settled into that offense into his second year. That's going to be exciting, too, to see Daniel Jones evolve as a quarterback there. And SAQUON Barkley, based on physical ability, is the best running back in the game. You guys could debate it all you want. That's fine. You're going to lose because he is physically the most gifted guy. If you have any question marks, just take a look at his quads. He'll squash you. This guy's an absolute beast. I love him. And again, work ethic second to none. And he tore it up. Like week 15, 16 of last year. I mean, 39. Okay, sorry, this is standard. Let's go to PPR. I'm just going to filter here by PPR. Now, I mean, 43 points in week 16. That's what I'm talking. 189 yards on the ground that week, okay? 30 points in week 15. So he finished really strong. And this is something that I really look at when I'm looking at a running back, especially near the tail end of the season, is how are they performing? How's that offense doing? Because a lot of teams, I've seen this before, back when David Johnson was endorsing my brand. I went to his house. He was endorsing my brand. We did a photo shoot for the brand. He came alive back in 2015 near the end of the season and then tore it up. Me and him called it. He's going to break out in 2016. And he did, right? Last year, Derrick Henry had a great year, right? Because the year before, he started tearing it up and showing that momentum going forward. So SAQUON's a beast. There's no denying it. There's no denying it at all. But he only played 13 games, still managed to get over 1,000 yards on the ground, 1,003 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns on only 217 attempts, and still managed to finish 10th at PPR. Missing those 3 games, terrible O-line. Daniel Jones not in the groove. SAQUON Barkley, by far, maybe next to Derrick Henry, has the highest ceiling amongst running backs, okay? Love him this upcoming season. And 244 points last year PPR, which, again, put him 10th. That's definitely going to go up. A healthy SAQUON. And if you guys read some reports and watch it, he was disappointed in his season. He wants to step up this season. I definitely 100% with absolute certainty feel SAQUON Barkley steps up for Fantasy Football 2020, so much so that I think he's going to probably be the top running back. But again, things change. Things are volatile. But all I'm trying to do here with my first, if you're drafting in the first 5 picks, is to secure the best possible running back. Now, I'm seeing guys like Michael Thomas. If you're doing some Fantasy Football mock drafts, I see Michael Thomas coming off in the first 5 picks. That's crazy. I see Dalvin Cook coming off top 5 almost every time. That's crazy. The guy has not finished a season. You want to get a guy that's proven, that fits the cutty, right? Consistency, upside, durability, depth, and youth. So you're going to get SAQUON, and you're going to get all that in a package. You're going to get that durability. You're going to get the volume. There's nobody else that's going to take the volume away. So I feel really secure with SAQUON as my RB1 because the ceiling is high. The talent is there. Only way up for him based on last year, okay? Coming at number 2. Now, I understand what goes up must come down. That's why Christian McCaffrey is not my first running back. And yes, in PPR, I still like this guy. The guy I'm talking about is Derrick Henry. He finished 5th in PPR last season. I know it's not the most exciting thing, but here's what is exciting, okay? Number 1 in attempts and number 1 in rushing. And he still managed to get 16 touchdowns. So when I say attempts, I like volume. I don't care because the thing about it is all I care about is volume. That's a big part of it. Well, in some cases it's bad because if you remember Peyton Barber it's volume and talent. Let's put it that way. A couple years ago, I think it was Peyton Barber. He was like 9th in attempts, but really sucked. That guy really, really sucks. But we're looking at Derrick Henry coming at number 2 for me in my rankings. You got to look at a guy that's the absolute beast workhorse, a guy that hasn't been paid the mega contract. Like, what is going on? This guy is one of the most talented running backs in the league, and they signed him for like a $10.2 million deal for 1 year. Listen, another thing that I like here is that Tannehill's back, and that offense hasn't really changed much. I think they got another O-line guy to help the O-line a little bit. A.J. Brown's going to take a step up this year. I think Geno Smith's going to be used a little bit more in the passing game. Listen, Derrick Henry's primed for another season. Yes, he could face stacked boxes, but the guy's an animal. He's going to get all that goal line work, so you're still looking at around 16 touchdowns. 1,540 rushing yards. Let's say it drops to 1,200. I'm still okay with that, okay? Maybe he's involved a little more in the passing game. Maybe he works on his hands, right? Bottom line is this guy's a full and true workhorse that I feel secure with as my, picking him second overall. And this guy is falling till about, 6th, 7th pick sometimes, okay? But I love him. The talent is there. Derrick Henry, I'm comfortable with as, the second running back off the board. Again, load up on those running backs, robust RB strategy. And I talk about this in my 16-round draft solution. So make sure you guys go to thefantasyfootballcounselor.com and get the 16-round draft solution. I got to chime in, take a time out here. Guys, this is the game changer. I'm telling you, I give you all the optimal players to draft in each round. Last year in my 16-round course, I said stay away from Le'Veon Bell at the end of round 1. And a lot of people are saying, well, Joe, you told me David Johnson first overall. Listen, David Johnson was a top 5 across the board. In some of my leagues, I drafted him first overall. Not all of them, but I backed him up with Derrick Henry in almost all my leagues, okay? In some leagues, I went SAQUON first overall. Some leagues, I went Christian McCaffrey because Christian McCaffrey is my top 4 last year, okay? So in each round in 16 rounds, I give you all the optimal players that I think. The only one I really messed up on, I take ownership. There's a couple guys I was off a little bit on, and I'm being transparent with you guys. I was off on Hawkinson. I was off on Montgomery a little bit early, and I was off on David Johnson. But in my 16-round course, you were able to grab Henry. You were able to get Kenny Golladay, right? A lot of people crushed it with Kenny Golladay. You were able to get the right quarterbacks. Kyler Murray, guys, he had a bit of a breakout season last year. He was my backup quarterback in all of my leagues, okay? Another thing, you guys dodged the Antonio Brown bullet, right? A lot of people, guys, when you're doing their draft, say to you, hey, you know what? You got to draft based on ADP. Last year, Odell Beckham, first round. Everyone told you that. I said, stay away from Odell. Not enough targets. Landry was the top target getter the year before at 149 targets. How is Odell going to come in and be a top 5 wide receiver? You need 150 targets. Are there going to be another 150 targets there with Landry there? It didn't make sense. So I dive in, I analyze, I do all of that homework for you. I omit players that I feel aren't going to succeed, are potential busts, right? Damian Williams, everybody told you beginning of round 2. I said, stay away from Damian Williams. Years to wow me, I wasn't wowed. Look at the situation, right? So I really hone in, filter out what you don't need, and make sure you guys get all the optimal players in each round. It's phenomenal. Get the 16-round draft solution at thefantasyfootballcounselor.com if you're in the car, or the link here below. I've pinned it to the top, guys. You got to get this. I'm telling you. You're also helping support the channel. It means the world to me, okay? So, again, to round this out, Derrick Henry, number 2, very confident, workhorse beast. Love the upside, love the talent. And, statistically, again, attempts are there. Rushing yards are there, volume is there, talent is there, and incentive is there because he hasn't been paid. That wraps up Derrick Henry. Coming at number 3, I got to go with Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to try to dance around him a little bit. I'll tell you why. The amazing thing about him is this: 116 receptions last year, okay? I'm just pulling up the wide receiver numbers here. When you look at it from a reception point of view, remember, Christian McCaffrey, guys, is a running back, okay? He was number 2 in regards to receptions. And he's a running back. Let me repeat this. Christian McCaffrey was number 2 in the league in receptions with 116 amongst wide receivers. Okay? The only person that had more receptions last year was Michael Thomas because he had 185 targets. So he had, again, back to the volume, right? Tons of volume equals tons of output if you're a good player, and Thomas obviously is. So number 2 in receiving, this is Christian McCaffrey. The only person that came close to him last year, well, there's a couple guys, Keenan Allen, Hopkins, and Edelman. Hopkins had 104 receptions. Keenan Allen had 104 receptions. Edelman had 100 receptions. Julio had 99. This is the type of volume that Christian McCaffrey had in the receiving game. So what I'm trying to tell you is there's no way in hell he's going to get 116 receptions this upcoming season. I don't see it. They've added Robbie Anderson. They've added a whole new quarterback. Understand, guys, a lot of receivers, in this case, Christian McCaffrey, let's classify him as a receiver just for one moment. A lot of receivers are successful predicated on the output of volume and predicated on the output of the rapport that they have with their quarterback. Okay, so he had a ton of volume with all the quarterbacks that were throwing to him. There's a slew of them, okay? So when you're looking at Christian McCaffrey, you got to say, okay, they've got a new quarterback in Bridgewater. Is he going to throw enough? That's a question mark. That's a red flag. Number 2, They've got Anderson. Are they going to utilize him a little bit more? Well, you can say, well, Joe, now they're going to open things up, more passing game, less stacked boxes, more running for Christian McCaffrey. Very possible as well. So that kind of, that's kind of a split there. But when you also look at a situation where what goes up must come down, you got to look at, he's had 2 Cinderella seasons. This guy has been absolutely phenomenal and bulletproof, and those are the type of guys you definitely want to target. I get it. And I'm not knocking him, and I'm not saying he's a bust, but what I'm saying is I just feel that maybe Henry and Saquon have a higher ceiling than Christian McCaffrey, okay? He's going to come down 471 points last year. That's going to come down. And again, you're saying, well, Joe, he may end up with 415 points. I'm okay with that, and that's fine. All I'm saying is that I think Saquon Barkley will end up with 416 points. That's the thought process. I think Derrick Henry will end up with 418 points. I just think that at the end of the day, when they reach the finish line, Henry and Saquon could end up with more points. But you can't go wrong with the first 3 picks with these guys if you mix and match any way you slice it and dice it, okay? So Christian McCaffrey coming at number 3. Coming at number 4 here, I have some question marks with this guy, but the guy I'm talking about is Ezekiel Elliott. Now, I love Ezekiel Elliott, love the upside, love the talent. He was number 3 in PPR last year and number 2 in attempts. Again, the volume, the talent there. 1,357 yards, 4.5 yards per carry, and 12 touchdowns. I love this, okay? He was number 4 in rushing. He's always there. He's always, approaching, with always finishing, I should say, in top numbers. Every single year, he's durable, he's solid. Now, a couple of concerns here. They did add CeeDee Lamb. They have a lot of receivers. They have a lot of good receivers, which could mean less stacked boxes, again, helping Zeke Elliott. This is a plus. But I think maybe they implement more of a passing game this year, different coaching. Are they going to run Zeke as much? And if they want to win, they should run Zeke. But again, there's also the Pollard effect. The Pollard effect bothers me a little bit. Now, Pollard only had 86 attempts and 2 touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown. So if you are looking at Pollard, he could be a thorn in the side of Zeke. That's definitely going to be a problem. But how much of a problem is the question? Enough so that I put him 4th, and I feel comfortable with the other 3 guys ahead of him. Still going to be a solid guy, still going to be durable. Pollard may play a factor, but he is the guy that's paid. And again, if you want to win, you got to play your best player. That's why the Cowboys are going to play Zeke Elliott. So I think the workload's going to be there. So even if he's at 301 attempts, let's say he drops down to 280, still going to be a solid producer, still going to get 10 touchdowns, and he's still going to get over 1,000 yards, almost guaranteed. Safe and solid Zeke Elliott coming at number 4. Pollard, a little bit of a thorn on my side, but I'm not going to let that affect me because, again, only 86 attempts, 2 touchdowns, and 1 receiving touchdown, okay? All right, coming at number 5. This is going to shock the world. This is where things get a little bit different here for me. The guy at number 5, different for me from the consensus, I should say. And I'm not even going to talk about the consensus rankings because there's BS, okay? When I think a guy is going to fall out, he's going to probably fall out. So Josh Jacobs coming at number 5 here. Now, listen. Numbers weren't the most exciting last year, but that's okay because the ceiling is high and he is the workhorse there with the Vegas Raiders, okay? Now, Josh Jacobs last year didn't have the greatest season. What did he finish? 21st? I'm going to pull this up in PPR. I was looking at, I always have the standard numbers out all the time. All right, so yeah, I think he finished 21st in PPR, 13 games, 242 attempts. That's not bad. That's definitely going to go up. So he's going to have at least around 260 attempts as a floor. He averaged 4.8 yards per carry when he was running the ball. Now, what I love about him is he's a pass-catching running back. He had a bum shoulder after week 7, so he was a little banged up, okay? And he's still, again, 13 games, guys, okay? A little bit of a bum shoulder. And he didn't play the full season. Rookie year, right? Trying to get integrated. They had no other wide receiver to spread the offense. Now they have Ruggs. Ruggs just had a recent injury. I think he had one of his thighs punctured or something. I don't know the extent of Ruggs' injury, but either way, hopefully he'll be ready for the season. He's going to be able to spread the defenses a little bit back there and open things up for Jacobs. But number 7 in rushing still for Jacobs with 1,150 yards on the ground. That's very impressive considering, again, all of these obstacles, rookie coming in, maybe some stacked boxes, bum shoulder, no receivers there, right? So I love Jacobs, love the ceiling, love the upside. Now, you could probably get this guy probably at the end of the first round, but if I can get him after the first 3 guys are gone, I'm comfortable with that, okay? Josh Jacobs coming at number 5. Ceiling is high, talent is there, opportunity, volume, everything's going to be there for Jacobs, and he's going to be a focal point in that offense as long as he stays healthy, okay? Coming at number 6, and this could have gone either way. The only reason I went with Jacobs at 5 and the next guy, which is Alvin Kamara at 6, is because Alvin Kamara is always kind of caught up in a little bit of a committee. Now, that always happens. Latavius Murray is going to be there, but here's the thing. He finished number 3 back in 2017, number 4 in 2018, amongst running backs, that is. And then last year had a little bit of a dip, finished 9th, okay, in PPR. Now, that dip could have happened, well, a couple of reasons, right? Taysom Hill's coming in, running some balls in, different type of, Michael Thomas actually got a lot of volume, right? That's another problem. And then Drew Brees was banged up a little bit, okay? So there's a couple variables there in regards to the decline a little bit with Kamara. And again, you're always going to get 81 receptions. Now, one thing he was down on was the 1 receiving touchdown. I don't like that, okay? That's got to come up to 5. His receiving yards got to come up. He only had 533. And where he was down was the rushing touchdowns. And that could be, again, the quarterback running it in. And Latavius Murray, I think he stole like 5 away from him as well. So if Kamara gets those rushing touchdowns, which sometimes he gets them hoarded away from, he still could come up there and become top 5. The ceiling is high. He needs to get paid and incentivized. He's looking for that big contract. So that's another thing that I like about him is that hunger for that big contract. But what I dislike here is that committee. Again, the quarterback runs it in Taysom Hill. That bothers me a little bit. So when you're looking at Kamara, the ceiling is high, but I prefer a guy that is the guy, full volume, like 171 attempts isn't enough for me. And he's not a guy that rushes the ball a lot. He's kind of like an Austin Eckler. Like Eckler had 132 attempts, 171 for Alvin Kamara. And I always talk in 1 point PPR, by the way. This is ranked at 1 point PPR. Even still, right, I like the volume, right? Volume gets me numbers. So when you're looking at these guys, they're committee. And the reason Eckler is out of the top 10 as well is because Eckler has never been a full and true workhorse running back. They also drafted Joshua Kelly there, who's going to probably be a factor with Melvin Gordon being gone. Eckler is going to be great in PPR, solid, but I don't trust that. I always try to get those guys that are full workhorse running backs, and you can get them, guys, in the first 4 rounds of your draft this year. So coming in number 6, Kamara, going to be safe and solid. Coming in number 7 here, this is going to roll some eyebrows. This guy finished 14th last year. The guy I'm talking about is Todd Gurley, 14th in PPR last year. Now, I'm getting this guy typically in the second round, okay? Todd Gurley in the second round is where I'm getting him. Now, the thing about Todd Gurley is that he wasn't utilized. He didn't see 20 attempts, okay? And he's the full workhorse running back. He didn't see 20 attempts until week 11. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, Joe, it's because of his arthritis. No, I think it's simply because the Rams want to utilize Todd Gurley near the playoffs, near the end. And they realize, we're running out of time. We're not going to make the playoffs. We got to use Todd Gurley. This is back in 2019, okay? Under 1,000 yards, he had 857 yards, 3.8 yards per carry, but 12 touchdowns, which is very impressive on 223 attempts. Now, the Falcons, let's talk about these guys. They want to make a Super Bowl run. Matt Ryan's getting older. They got 2 stud receivers, Ridley and Julio Jones. And this is going to spread the offense, the defense's back. They're going to go back. They're going to focus on Julio. They're going to focus on Ridley. It's going to open things up for the passing game for, catches out of the backfield for Todd Gurley. Love the upside, love the ceiling, love the opportunity. Now, they've got Brian Hill and Ito Smith. Nobody cares about those guys. They're not that good. If you are making a Super Bowl run and you've signed Todd Gurley on for a year or so, you're going to push him to the limit. You want to win. And Todd Gurley's probably got a chip on his shoulder. He's probably tired about his arthritis conversations, this and that. So watch some training videos on him. He looks really good, really solid. Love Todd Gurley this year, second round guy as part of a robust RB strategy. So when you say, Joe, you're drafting Todd Gurley, yeah, but I'm going to be covered because I'm going to basically have a Derrick Henry or SAQUON round 1 come back at Todd Gurley or Jacobs Todd Gurley. I'm going to mix and match that combo to cover myself with these workhorse running backs, okay? The most scarce position. Not only are you loading up on the most scarce position to cover yourself at depth, and if you have a ton of running backs, you can have good trade bait if somebody needs a running back, and they will because you've hoarded them all. And you're also taking away from the most scarce position from the draft, and you got power in your hands, okay? Because there's a ton of depth at quarterback and wide receiver. So Todd Gurley coming at number 7. I don't care about the arthritis. I care about the opportunity, volume, and the fact that the Falcons believe in him. They didn't draft anybody else. Coming at number 8 here. Now, this guy also due for a mega contract, Leonard Fournette. Now, I'm posting these guys kind of on ADP based on the players that I would like. I'll give you an example. So I could have said, well, Leonard Fournette I like more than Alvin Kamara, but I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put him in my rankings ahead of Kamara because I know that Kamara would come off first and you could always get Fournette later. Understand the thought process, guys, okay? So it's a little bit ADP, but based on players that I like. So Leonard Fournette coming at number 8. Listen, this guy was 7th in PPR, 7th in attempts. Not bad. Like that. 265 attempts. You know, I don't got to say anything more about Leonard Fournette. If he stays healthy, he's going to deliver. He's a volume guy. Sixth in the rushing yards, 1152. I like that as well. So Leonard Fournette, solid again with those rushing attempts, 4.3 yards per carry. Now, here's the thing about Leonard Fournette you want to note here. Last year, he only had 3 rushing touchdowns, still finished 7th. He's definitely going to get more than 3 rushing touchdowns. I look at a floor of 8 rushing touchdowns on the ground because he's going to be more integrated. Understand the Jacksonville Jaguars, we're looking at trading Leonard Fournette. That's got to light some fire under his ass. Understand that he needs to get paid, incentivized. His life is on the line. His future's on the line. His legacy's on the line. As you know, running backs have a short shelf life, and they're being replaced. We see this, guys. We see Marlon Mack may not get paid. They brought in Jonathan Taylor. We see Damian Williams not going to get paid the big contract because he sucks anyway. They brought Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We see this with Zach Moss there with Singletary, not making Singletary the main guy. They brought in Zach Moss. You see it with Kerryon Johnson not being an elite talent. They bring in DeAndre Swift. You see it with Darrell Henderson with Cam Akers. All of these new rookie running backs are coming in that have more upside than the guys they have to basically maybe steal the job and push the other guys out, okay? Instead of paying the main guy, why not bring in a rookie that's got more ceiling, see if he works out and not pay the other guy a big contract? So Leonard Fournette needs to get paid, needs to prove that he is the lion in the industry, just like the lion shirts here. By the way, you guys get the lion shirts on my site at thefantasyfootballcounselors.com under the store. I'll put a link below. Get your lion shirt, by the way. So Leonard Fournette needs to be the lion of the industry, especially with the running backs. Love Lenny Fournette, okay? Coming at number 8. Coming at number 9 here. And again, I'd have someone else here above this guy, but based on ADP, where he's going, I think this guy cracks the top 10. But I want to make a disclaimer. The guy I'm talking about is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But I want to make a note here, okay? Jonathan Taylor could crack the top 10, Cam Akers. As of right now, I feel a rookie is going to crack the top 10. Well, you're like, Joe, pick one. So I'm picking one. Clyde Edwards-Helaire right now at number 9. Let me make a note here, though. Disclaimer. I need to see training camps roll out. I need to get reports. I need to know who's shining. I need to hear reports from coaches. Now, mind you, I don't take everything the coach says, religiously or whatever you want to call it. I don't take it seriously, right? So when you're looking at Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you got to look at the ceiling. Now, let's talk about numbers. Last year in college, 215 attempts, 1,414 yards, 6.6 yards per carry, 16 touchdowns, 55 receptions for 453 yards, and a receiving touchdown. Not the most astronomical workhorse numbers, but I love the receptions. I love the volume. I love that he can run up the middle. I love his short, compact stature, his size, right? Compact, people bounce off him. Great vision, great cutting ability. This guy can and will be a workhorse. And I think that the gap between him and Damian Williams is far larger. So they got to ride the hot hand. Another thing that I like about Clyde Edwards-Helaire is that, they're going to make him the workhorse potentially. And now the reason why I'm kind of hesitant is because I don't really trust the Chiefs, really. And it's a different offense since Kareem Hunt was there. Pat Mahomes wasn't under center. Different offense. They throw a lot, and I get it. But he could be part of the passing. There's too many mouths to feed. That's kind of my own concern is basically what I'm saying to you, right? And the thing about him is that I love is that, again, the gap is so big between him and Damian Williams, and the Chiefs were craving that running back. They even put LaShawn McCoy thinking he could be the guy, but he was running with the ball, 5 yards away from his body and had fumbleitis, and he looked terrible. He's washed up. LaShawn McCoy should retire. But when you look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire, they're craving that workhorse running back because they don't trust Damian Williams. I don't trust Damian Williams. They know Damian Williams is not that good. And Darwin, obviously, pass protection, probably an issue for Darwin Thompson, didn't emerge. He was a late bench round stash for me last year. Thought he would break out because I knew Damian Williams sucked. But this is what we were working for. This is what we want, is a Clyde Edwards-Helaire. If he gets the volume, if he gets the opportunity, if he stays on the field, this guy's going to crack the top 10. Disclaimer, I got to see who else is going to be emerging. Maybe, we already hear that Marlon Mack and Taylor are going to be a committee. That sucks. But I think whatever team, like an Akers, right? Akers and Darrell Henderson are going to be a committee. But I think Akers, guys like Jonathan Taylor could crack the top 10 as well. There is other good running backs. Zach Moss is a beast, right, with the Buffalo Bills. Let's say Devin Single gets hurt, week 2. Now you've got a workhorse in Buffalo that could potentially crack the top 10 if given the volume and the opportunity. Joshua Kelly there with the Chargers, right? There's a ton of guys with a lot of ceiling that could break out, right? McFarland there with the Steelers if Connor gets hurt, right? And if he gets hurt early, tons of volume for McFarland, right? So when you are looking at Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the ceiling is high, the potential is there if and only if the Chiefs believe in him, he could crack the top 10. And I'm doing this based on ADP. I see this guy coming off in the second round. So you're like, Joe, how could you draft him in the top, put him in the top 10? Because he's being drafted in the second round. That's why. All right? That's why I got him in the top 10. So the ceiling is there. And I'm not just going to draft Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm going to draft, Saquon or Henry or Jacobs. Then I'm going to go Helaire, and then I'm going to go Fournette or whoever it is, right? It's going to work like that, okay? The next guy here, based on where he's going to finish. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 9. Next guy here, let's move on. David Johnson at number 10. Now people are like, well, David Johnson, Joe, I can get him in the 4th round. He's 20th amongst running backs. Anyone ranking David Johnson 20th amongst running backs is an idiot. I'm telling you guys, David Johnson's going to finish in the top 10. Talent opportunity. And you're like, Joe, you're crazy. He sucked last year. He looked sluggish and slow. And I keep saying this to you. Imagine you work at an auto shop. You work at Bob's Auto Shop. And Bob tells you that he's taking away all your shares. Sorry, we're taking away your shares. You're out of the company. You're working here for one more week only because we got to fill your spot. You got 1 week and you're getting fired. Would you work hard for Bob's Auto Shop? No, you wouldn't. You'd be sluggish. You'd be slow. You'd be telling everybody to F off, right? Same type of thing. And then in comes another shop down the road called, I don't know, Billy's Auto Shop. So Bob's Auto Shop, you're leaving there. Billy's Auto Shop says, hey, David Johnson or Joe or whoever you are watching this video, Donnie or Greggy or whatever the heck your name is. Hey, Greg, listen, this is Billy. I'm losing track here. This is little Billy's Auto Shop, and we're going to give you shares, and we're going to make you guys the CEO of our company, and we're going to build right down the street from Bob's Auto Shop, and we're going to wipe him out because he was a dick to you. Dude, then you're going to start trying. So point of the story is, the moral of the story is, David Johnson didn't feel like he wanted to try for a team that didn't want him. It just came down to that, and he had a little bit of a back issue. His back was bothering him. It wasn't serious enough to affect him, because remember, the 1 week he sat down and they brought Kenny Drake in, David Johnson tweeted or posted, I'm ready, I'm in, I'm going to play. And then Kingsbury made the decision, and that was because, number one, Kingsbury is a dick and he has no integrity, and number two, they wanted to create an offense that fit them better, and they feel Drake is better for that offense. And I think Drake has had years to wow, so we're not wowed, and I don't think he's going to do well. But I think Eno Benjamin is the guy that can emerge with the Arizona Cardinals, the guy out of Arizona State who's got an amazing spin move and a nose for the end zone and actually could be better than Kenny and Drake. That's besides the fact. Let's talk about David Johnson. Listen, this is the biggest steal in fantasy football history. Now, just because he's in my top 10, I'm not telling you guys to go draft him in the first round, or second round for that matter. What I'm saying is that you guys can get this guy in the 4th round. He is a steal. He's a bargain, and he could finish in the 10th with absolute ease based on volume. Why? Let's talk about numbers. Why, Joe, do you come to this conclusion? Number one, because the ceiling is there. He had 407 PPR fantasy points back in 2016. Joe, that was a long time ago. Let's get over it. He's injury prone. No, he's not injury prone. He had a fluke injury the year after in 2017 where a defensive back hit him on the wrist, smashed his wrist up, fluke injury. The year after, he still finished 9th in PPR. And then last year, Kingsbury screwed him out of his control. So he had 1 year where he was really injured and a minor injury last year. I know the history, guys. This guy was the guy that endorsed my brand years ago. Listen, I understand. And I also know after meeting him, his work ethic is second to none. This guy was always told, I can't do it. Haters were always on this guy, and he always out to prove the haters wrong, okay? He's a beast. He's an animal. He's working out hard. The Texans believe in him. And another thing, let's talk about numbers again. Carlos Hyde, 240 plus attempts, and he absolutely sucked. Over 1,000 rushing yards, and I think 6 touchdowns. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but Carlos Hyde was a guy that was worked heavily, and he absolutely sucks. One of the worst running backs in the league, okay? Yes, Joey, but he rushed over 1,000 yards. Doesn't matter. He still sucks. He's not going to be your top-tier running back. David Johnson will be. You're looking at a floor of 260, guys. I repeat, 260 attempts as a floor. I think it's going to be up and around 280 to 310 rushing attempts. But the reason I say it's going to be lower is because I think he's going to be involved in the passing game as well, which is really good if you're looking at PPR. Look out. David Johnson's there. This is an offense I'm going to be watching heavily. I like the addition of Cooks, who's another fantasy football sleeper 2020. Love Brady Cooks there if he stays healthy as well. Texans are going to be a force to be reckoned with in that division, I assure you. And to round up my top 10 is David Johnson. So let's recap here. SAQUON Barkley, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott, Josh Jacobs, ALVIN, KAMARA, TODD, GURLEY, Leonard Fournette, and David Johnson to top 10. And I look at it as guys that could finish in the top 10. Now, there's going to be some rookies that are going to be emerging. There could be other guys that could slip in here. David Montgomery could slip in here. He's working on his top end speed. Love David Montgomery. Other guys that could slip in here. Drake could have a ceiling year. I'm not sold on him. Miles Sanders, if he remains the running back there with the Eagles, could be a guy that could slide in here as well. Dalvin Cook will not finish the season, I assure you. Aaron Jones will decline. They got Dillon there as well. Mark Ingram's got Dobbins there. I'm staying away. Chris Carson's got Hyde there. I'm staying away. And the injuries there. So those are my guys. I'm telling you, these guys will potentially break the top 10 with a rookie integrate. Depending on how the camp goes, I may swap out Clyde Edwards-Helaire, put in Taylor or Akers or someone like that, okay? So this is the non-consensus list. A lot of information for you guys to process, I understand, but take it in. Do not go with the consensus rankings. Remember, the consensus rankings had Le'Veon Bell, top 10 last year. I said stay away. New offense, things change. He was a product of the Steelers offense, right? They had Connor in the top 10. James Conner, injuries, right? You got to look at everything, okay? Dalvin Cook has not finished the season. Stay away from him, right? Go for a guy that's more secure, okay? And that's it, guys. That's your top 10 fantasy football running backs 2020. I'm so excited about the season happening, and I love talking running backs. If you guys want to hit me up, guys, you can hit me up. There's a free Facebook group. Just look up on Facebook called The Council. Check us out there. Smash thumbs up as well here. Leave a comment. I'll get to your questions, and DM me on Instagram. I try to get to as many questions. I can't guarantee it, but why not? Take a shot on Instagram. I'm trying to answer some questions here in the offseason as we're ramping up, keeping it real with you guys. Thank you for being here. Get the 16-round draft solution. It is the game changer at thefantasyfootballcounselor.com. And those are your top 10 running backs for 2020. And this list may change. It's June. Stick with me, guys, waiting for all the camps to really start up and get a feel for what the scouts and what everybody, the coaches and the teams are saying, okay? Thanks for being here, guys. I am out.